Well, guys, pulled it out of the oven, and I did bake it for a little bit. So that's what we ended up with. It is nice and cured. She's good to go. Like I said, I got that big blemish on the roof. There's two of them. Not too bad. A little one on the trunk. This side here is pretty clean. I mean, it's like pretty clean. So I'm super happy with that. My bare metal foil, the emblems look good. I do have a little bit of a wrinkle underneath the one. I got a little bit of wrinkle on it, you can see right there. So I probably should have been a little more cautious on that just to calm that down. But I think maybe once I clear it, it won't be as bad. We'll see. I don't do that a lot, so I'm still kind of learning it. You know, I've done it years ago, just not, just make it look good, but I kind of care a little bit now, you know what I mean? So it's just like, should have been a little more cautious on that, but that's okay. It still looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. I love that paint. That is the best black paint I've ever sprayed. I will definitely buy that again. This one is my favorite. I don't know why, it just lays down nice. You guys know how that is. Sometimes you get certain paints that just, some paints spray really good. Some are like, man, it's all right. This one, yes, it's sprayed amazing. So you guys are going to do black paint, you want a little metallic in it, highly recommend the Absolute Black MCW enamel. Beautiful, beautiful. Now, when I wet sand this, I'm going to avoid this because I did not do anything with this. Being it was a high spot and it was with the foil, the black just basically separated itself around it. So it worked actually pretty good in my favor. I didn't do nothing with it, so it worked really nice. I was a little worried about trying to wipe off enamel from that, but that turned out pretty cool. In certain light, you can see that blue metallic in there. That's pretty sharp. See it on that back panel there. That looks good. Like it. Loving it. All right, we'll get this sanded out and we'll go from there. Okay, guys, so I'm getting ahead of you a little bit. Started wet sanding this. This is pretty cured out. I only baked it for just a few hours because I've just been air drying for a couple days. Magic of movie making, I guess. You can speed things up by just walking away for a little bit. So we were getting those big gnarly pieces out of the roof line. So like I said before, if you guys are wet sanding and you start wet sanding and you turn the paper over and it's got streaking or like gulling, that means your paint is not cured yet. So the nice thing about this, like I say, it's got hardener in it, so it doesn't take long to cure it out. And this is just basically about probably 4 hours in the Suzy Bake oven over there, and that's all it was baked for. So we're basically just getting this leveled down, flatten it out. So yeah, but like I say, as we're doing this, we're gonna avoid this spot here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wet sand this a little bit, and I'll bring you guys back. And always remember, stay away from those edges because that will get you. And then the other thing too, always check your progress. So you're thinking, yeah, going along, because next thing you don't want to go too far, and now you're down into the primer because it's game over. Then you're repainting it. So I go just a little bit at a time, and I'll take just a microfiber towel and wipe it until I get a pretty nice smooth finish on it. Now everything's pretty much gone except for one little blister right there. That's it. So at this point, I'll do a little bit around here, but I'm gonna concentrate more on that centerpiece because I don't need to eat the rest of it down. And if you always want to know what it's gonna look like with clear coat on it, just put a little water on it. So that's how nice she's gonna look when it's got some 2K on it. She'll look nice and shiny. So I'm gonna get working on this some more because I want to bore you to death with wet sanding. Basically just got to do a little bit here and here, and I got a couple blemishes. There's one here on the side. The side's pretty clean, so we're not going to do much here. I will touch it just a little bit just to give it something for the clear coat to stick to. And other than that, I'm going to get the other parts wet sanded. The hood and the bumper, or the two bumpers, look pretty good. I don't even know if I'll really touch those much, but the hood needs a little attention. Other than that, we should be good to go. Then we'll get her some clear coat. And we'll let that set for a couple days while we work on the rest of the car. So, all right, I'll get this done and we'll bring you back. So yeah, so we're good to go here. You gotta look just in the right light. There's a spot right here and a spot right there. Man, they're big. I'm afraid to take it down too far because I really don't want to just have to stop and repaint the roof. There was a nice spot here that's gone. And I don't know why. I wish I would have did the emblem here. The XR7, I should have foiled that as well, but I don't know what I was thinking. I didn't. But that's where we're at. So everything's wet, sanded down. This sanded out pretty nice. So we're good there. And the bumpers, I just give them just a touch because they really didn't need nothing. Just a little scratchy scratch for the clear coat to stick to. And this guy here. I'm not going to paint the grill right now because I took some Molotow marker where the cougar emblem was. Just filled it in, and I took some Panaline black and just give it a nice heavy drip and let it fill in the holes. So I'm going to let that dry for a while because that's going to take a bit to dry. And I think that turned out pretty cool. So we're going to let that sit, and I'll clear coat this later on. Alright, I'll get this prepped and ready to go, and we'll bring you guys back. Alright guys, we got our wet sanded down, and I went through, and it's not my best. I went through and put the XR7 on there. It's on there. It's not my favorite, but it looks okay. I should have bare metal foiled it. Why I didn't, I don't know. I could just left it, black, but we give it a little color. Should be alright. So we got our clear. We're using the MCW 1017E, and we have our clear hardener, which is a must for this. It will never harden. And like I mentioned before, I like to put the date on the top. So this one's about expiring for me. And I always write the kind of the ingredients on top. So it's 2 parts clear, 1 part thinner, 1 part hardener. And for thinner, we're using our mr.color leveling thinner, so it works the best in all this stuff. So 3 cups. So 1 cup for clear, 1 cup for hardener, and 1 cup for thinner. And we'll dump her all in, and we'll go from there. Okay guys, this is sometime day later. So this is after the clear coat. So check this out. I'll pull this off here because obviously that's a little heavy for that. I got a few blisters in it. I've seen. It's not bad. Check these goodies out. Hood looks really nice. Yeah, that looks pretty good. A little blurry. Couple things in it. Looks pretty good. Yeah, so we're going to take this over the bench and we're going to look it over a little bit and probably start doing a little wet sanding and a little polishing. Okay guys, bench side. This looks pretty nice. I got a few blemishes. So as I was painting it, I got a mark in it here. And there was a piece of lint that got in right here. And it was one of those, come on, man. You know, just, why? So I tried picking that out in mid-paint. And that's rough. That's hard to do sometimes. But it is doable. I did go through and touch up the XR7 with silver paint. I'm not overly crazy about it. I wish I would have bare metal foiled it, but it looks okay. So we're going to wet sand some of these spots down, and we'll see how that goes. I wish the spots weren't in there because it looks pretty nice. I mean, I almost don't want to touch it. The hood's the same way. I got a few little spots here and there. So we're going to start with the hood and go from there. So once again, I'm going to use my handy dandy Trizac 5000, and we'll go from there. So cut off a little piece. This is all I got left. I need to go and buy me another piece of it. This is it. We're getting dangerously low. I'm going to leave it at that because we're getting to that small neighborhood. Start with some fresh water. Now this has been curing for a long time. So this should wet sand up pretty good. Should anyways. So we're not getting any galling, nothing like that. So we're looking pretty good. And I don't want to wet sand it a lot, just enough to say, hey man, this is what we got to do. So as always, I'll go through and keep checking it as we go, just with a microfiber towel. And you can see that looks pretty smooth. Just trying to get all the little pieces out of there. So that's all I'm going to do with that. And I lost my sandpaper. It's stuck on the towel. Silly me. Alright, so we'll go back to this piece here. This had a few pieces in it. It wasn't overly over the top. And yes, I know you could use a different sandpaper to get things going, but like I mentioned before, I like this here just because it's subtle. It's not over, you know, you're not going to cut it fast. There's time to evaluate what you have going and recorrect if you feel you're making maybe a mistake or something like that. See a little spot right there yet. So that's my reasoning for using this. So that's looking pretty good there. So we're going to hit the centerpiece and we'll call the hood good to go. So I'm just going to do this piece. We're going to polish it out and I will do the rest of the car off camera just because, like I say, like I always say before, I don't want to bore you to death with it because this is kind of monotonous to a point. And once you see one panel done, it's the same thing for all panels. So this does have hardener in it, so sometimes it does take a little bit to sand it, but it still sands pretty easy. So we're just going to check our work as we go. And it's looking pretty good. I can see a little guy right there, a little nibbit. There's a couple in there yet I can see. There's one right here. And the thing is, sometimes you won't see these unless you're really, really looking for them, or until you start polishing and you're like, oh, I can't tell you how many times I've started polishing something and then realize I can go a little further. Now on the hood, trunk, roof, I give it an extra coat of clear. Because like I say, that's what you look at. I mean, that's the, like, woo, nice. So especially if I see a little blemish in there, I'll hit it and just, all right, we'll work that out later. Something like that. That looked pretty good. I think it is good. Okay. All right. We'll get some polish out. So my polishing I use is the Meguiar's Ultimate Polish. This is just, you buy it AutoZone, Advanced Auto. Anywhere you get like your car cleaning supplies, most places carry it. I believe this one came from Myers actually. It'd be like Walmart, stuff like that. So obviously shake well. don't drink it, all that good stuff. And it's not a fast cut. It's a slower cut. And it's obviously meant for cars that's already got a nice paint job on it. You want to just kind of deck them out a little bit more. So I'm sure there's something out there that's probably a little bit better. I see guys use the Scratch X stuff for windows. I have not tried that, but this for me has always worked pretty good. And another bottle I do have is some of this guy here, the Wizard's Finish Cut. This actually works really good. This actually is a little more of a cut than the McGuire, so sometimes I'll start with this and then I'll come back to this. This size, like I say, this has a little more of a pretty good deal to it, but this here will give you more of that. Oh yeah, that's nice, real nice. So I may start with this and we'll go from there. So we'll finish it out from there. So looking at the back of this bottle, because I'd be honest with you, I really probably never read this. So I have Finish Cut. So they're telling you it removes fine scratches, heavy swirls, cobwebbing, overspray, minor imperfections, blah, 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 blah. And then you follow it up with their Turbo Cut, which is their final step, which is probably the equivalent to this, is what I would say. Because this has a little sandy grit to it, where this is like pretty buttery smooth. So we're going to give this a little bit of a hit, and we're going to start with that. So what I like to do is I take one of my microfiber towels and I will cut it. And it makes a mess because once you cut these, it just goes everywhere. But that's how it is. Enjoy the mess. I could probably buy little towels. I know they make microfiber towels like in smaller pieces. But here's the thing, I don't want this. I don't want this edging on here, this where they sew this on here. I want that off there. I just want it to be just towel. So I'll cut that off. My Susie Maker scissors here. Something like that. Alright, so now I make sure there's nothing in this. So right here, I don't know why, I was holding this against the bench. There's a little sliver right there of wood. So my bench has a little bit of open from where it's painted, because that would really ruin the paint job. And sometimes that makes me just want to just get another piece and like, okay, this has been compromised. But we'll see. I think we'll be all right. And as always, this always plugs up. And this stuff is really powdery, because once it starts to dry, powder paste. So what I like to do is just dump a little bit on my mat. And you can see the powder runs off. So you gotta be careful with that. Just a little bit's all we need. Could if I put that in a mixing tray? Most likely. But what fun would that be? And just start anywhere on the model and just start going to town on it. Now you don't want to burn it. So you can burn this easily by a rotary tool. And burning it is just by just real slow. The tool's basically getting hot. The foam on the end of the tool is getting warm, and it's starting to burn the paint. So that's why you can, and yes, it cuts the polish time down immensely, but you have to be careful with it. So I always just polish them by hand. That's how I've always done it, and it works so far so good. Time consuming? Yeah, a little bit, but you know what? That's okay. I'm not in too big a hurry most of the time. When it comes to this, hurrying with the rest of it, yes. This part, no. This part I kind of enjoy. It's therapeutic for me. It's just, I like it. It's enjoyable. So I'm going to work on this, and I'll bring you back, because at this point, I'm going to turn my phone on as a radio, which is also videoing right now. And I'll listen to me some tunes while I'm sanding this. So we'll give you just a quick, let's see what she looks like, which you can already tell she's already picking that gloss back up. So as you can see right there, we're getting there. It's come back, and now that hood is nice and shiny. So at this point here, I'll look it over, and I don't see, I got one little bit of spot right there, so I may go through and re-wet sand it, because I don't want to get it super polished and then find out, man, I could have took that out, and then you're kind of starting all over. So at this point, I'm going to wet sand that again real quick, and then we're going to start this process over. But I'm going to do that off camera now that you guys see what we're doing, and we'll bring you back once the hood is done. So I got a few blemishes on the side here. We're going to work on those. Once again, as always, using my Trizac 5000 by 3M. Great product. If you guys never tried it, you should give this stuff a try. It lasts a long time. You can pick it up at pretty much any auto parts store. Walmart, Meijer, stuff like that. They don't usually sell this type of thing. So I'm going to get this wet sanded down, and I'll bring you back for some polishing. Okay guys, so we got this sanded down, and there's a few stubborn spots in this, so I end up having to break out the little harsher paper, which isn't too bad. We put some 2500 on there. So we broke it down. I got some of those bigger spots out of there, and that turned out pretty good. So I got a dimple right there. It's almost like maybe there's grease or something on it. That's pretty deep. I can only go so far with it without burning through the clear coat. So that's where we're ending up at this point. So now we're going to go ahead and get it polished and kind of run with that. Okay guys, we got the body almost done. Plugging along on it. It's almost there. It's looking pretty good. So we got the hood done. So check that out. That's much better. So that is wet sanded and polished just by hand. So it looks pretty good. So once we get the grill in here, which is now clear coated, little cat emblem on there, that looked pretty sharp on there. Kind of mock that up a little bit. That looks pretty good. Pretty good. I'm sure it's not coming out for nothing, but that's where we got. So we're continuing on getting the bodywork finished up. So I've been working on this quite a bit. So you can see that roof line, that nasty part is out of there. And once you know it, and I hear I preach to you guys all the time about this, don't burn through the clear coat. Well, if you guys remember, I had a piece of fiber right here, and I was trying to sand that out of there, and long behold, I went through it just a shade. But you really have to look for it to see it. Other than that, I'd have to re-clear the roof, and I'm not going to go through that. So we're going to leave it because it's not like in the middle or big spots. It's right on that edge. So like I said, just to look at the car, you really have to look for it to see it. But now the secret's out because now everybody knows. But that's okay. So I'm going to keep working on this. So I still don't like this here. I have a little mark here. I might sand that down a little bit more to get that out of there. This one here I'm going to leave. So I may do is go with the 2500 paper just right here, just to knock that down. And the rest of it's pretty smooth. So I'm going to continue doing this now that the hood's done. Like I say, I did not do the bumpers. Those are just fresh out the gun. Those look pretty good, so I'm not gonna bother with them. So the front bumper and obviously the mirrors. I didn't show the mirrors in the first video painting them or anything. So I just figured, you know what, they're just the mirrors. It's not a big deal. But these look really nice, so I'm not going to do anything with them. I wish the whole body sprayed out clean like this, but that's just the way it goes sometimes. So as long as once I'm done with this, the gloss is equal from front to back. So being I have the hood done, it's a good way to kind of compare it. We're looking pretty good. So other than that, I'm going to wet sand this just a little bit, and I'll bring you guys back, and I'll show you the final product. Like I say, it's going out pretty good. So I started with the Wizard Final Cut, the finished cut, not final cut, because like I say, this is a little more aggressive, and I finished the job with the Ultimate Polish. I found using this stuff, it doesn't seem to give you that like wet look like this does. So that's why I kind of, if it's a little rougher, I'll start with that. But if normally I just use this. Other than that, guys, yeah, I'll get cranking on it, and we'll bring you back when I am about wrapped up with it. All right, guys. So after some massive, yeah, arm muscle here, I think we got her licked here. So I wiped it off. So I'm giving it one more hit, just a real quick once over, and we should be done with it. And we're gonna let it set for a little bit. Not that it needs to sit at all. I'm just going to let it set to the side, and probably going to do some black painting around here. Some kind of like a flat black or a satin black for the trim. So this should look pretty decent. So I'm able to go over these emblems just a little bit. I'm not getting too carried away on them. Make sure she's good to go. And I find this is almost like, I mean, it's not wax, but it almost seems like wax. I find if you let it sit for a little bit before you buff it off, it actually seems like it's a little better. Like I say, because it kind of dries like wax, but it's not. A little bit of here and there, and we should be good to go. Okay, going to run with that. See how it turns out. Like I say, we'll let that set for a few seconds, and we'll wipe it off. Okay, so I grabbed myself a new microfiber towel. I always rip these off just because I don't want it scratching anything. And this one's freshly clean out of the bin. Just give it a nice little buff here, and she should yield us out a pretty nice looking. I have to keep rotating that towel because you don't want the underneath here, so I'll try to wipe that out, because if you're trying to wash that off or wipe it out, it's going to get all over where you're trying to wipe it, and what's left will obviously just dry. Okay, we'll see how that roof turned out here. Yes, sir. It looked nice. So remember those big gnarly pieces that was in there? Those are all nice and gone. That looks pretty good. And I'm going to tell you guys, this wasn't just a, oh yeah, and we're done. No, this took a bit to do it. This wasn't just a couple swipes and we're done. Not going to let you, not going to fool you on that one. It took a little bit to get it clean. I'll get the rest of this wiped down, and we'll show you guys the finished product here. Alright guys, so that wraps up our Cougar polishing. I think that turned out pretty nice. So we ended up throwing the hood grill in there. So that cat was painted with Molotow marker. Let that set for a couple days, and then we took the black panel line from Tamiya and just put a heavy drip in there, and then we let it set for another couple days and then cleared it. That turned out pretty nice. All in all, this turned out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the end results. You can see those bare metal foil emblems in the back. Those look really, really good. Turned out really sharp. So it's they actually work really good with the enamel paint. I was kind of surprised. Like I said, it's the first time doing it with enamel. I was very happy with it. So as you can see, the roof line now is nice and smooth. I had quite a few gnarly bumps and pivots and divots and all kinds of stuff in there. Same as the trunk. That worked out really nice. So I ended up having to go a little heavier on the paper. Something I don't usually do, but it's not out of the you know, out of the realm. I mean, it can happen. So I ended up going with 2500 wet and dry. Same with the hood. Actually just left with the 5000. So once the 2500 was all done, went back through with the 5000, and we ended up going with the Wizard finish cut, all said and done, to start with, and then we slowly moved over to the Meguiar's Ultimate Polish. Now the Wizard cut will not give you that, oh my god, like wet look shine, where the Ultimate Polish will. That's the big difference, because the Wizard's a little more of a grit to it, but it does work really well. So it's for a little bit more of a faster cut. For you guys out there that do polishing with Dremels and all that kind of thing, you probably could have done this in double the time, but this is all done by hand. I know not everybody has a Dremel, so this is all done just by hand and just polishing with clean rags, and this is the result you can get. So I thought I'd show you guys, because like I say, I know not everybody has everything to work with. I get that, so it is achievable. So it's the way I take it. I hope the video helped out like a lot of guys. I know there's a lot of guys that still just getting into the airbrushing, and like I always say, guys, you'll never get good at it if you don't keep using it. It's just one of those things. After a while, it'll be just second nature. It'll just be so comfortable for you. You won't even think about it when you're painting something. It'll just be natural. But like I say, it's just something you just have to kind of learn and figure it out on your own. Watch a bunch of videos. There's tons and tons of very, very talented modelers out there that does amazing paint jobs. You guys know who you are. So You know, and the thing is, take a little bit from each video and make it your own. You know, just find what works best for you, and that's the way to do it. And just see what, like say, practice and little air pressure change here. Different airbrushes. Don't always just stick with one airbrush. Sometimes you'll find one airbrush sprays better than the other one, and something's more comfortable for you. So that's the way it is as well. So that's how I found out, and I've got 3 different ones here, and I kind of use them all, but I do like my Iwata for color. I think that lays color down the best. I have a 0.0 here that I use for primer and like lacquers. I think that works better for that. So like I say, try different airbrushes out. So just don't do one and done and think that's how it is, because sometimes that does make a difference. So once again, guys, I appreciate you guys checking out the 2 videos. Go check out Hobby Nut Models. Mark's got some great sales down there going on. Check out his inventory. Like I say, this is just my little take on the world. I'm no expert by any means, so take that with a grain of salt, if you will. And like I say, these are just the practices I've learned and picked up as I went, and this is what works well for me. So once again, guys, I appreciate it. You guys have a good one. Thanks for watching, and we will see you on the next video.